This is such a common narrative, and I find it so frustrating that moms are overprotective, that they think too much, they have too much information when it comes to parenting, and they keep their kids in this little bubble, right? And that dads allow their kids to test boundaries and to fail and to take risk, and dads are just more fun inherently, and they're willing to let their kids explore. But this dynamic fails to acknowledge the expectations that we place on men and women, right? Women are often held to higher expectations than dads, even something as simple as what a child wears, right? When mom drops off kid at daycare and they look disheveled, people are judging her and her character and her abilities as a mother. When dad does it, they laugh it off. Oh my gosh, daddy dressed you today. So funny. You look silly. Like, it's a joke. He's not held to the same standards. And the same is true when it comes to parenting, right? What a mother feeds her kid versus what a dad feeds the kid. And at a playground, the same thing. If a woman is allowing her child to do something dangerous and that child, God forbid, gets hurt and they end up in a hospital, there is judgment made. She should have done more. She should have protected that child. What was she thinking? When a dad does that, he gets more grace. That is why this dynamic often exists, but is also incredibly frustrating for women, because when we do make a mistake, when we do allow our child to take a risk and they ultimately get hurt or something happens, there is much more accountability on mom. That's the thing. There's often more accountability on mom to make sure kids are healthy, happy, and well-fed and educated and all of these things. And dads are just there for the fun. They're there to test boundaries. They aren't held accountable. And that's why this narrative is so common. And so, yes, this narrative exists, but it's also kind of funny because oftentimes dads are like, I'm a protector, but not in this case. I'll protect my kid, but I'm not going to protect them from, falling off of a tall structure at the playground. Like, they need to experience risk. So it's a weird double standard that tends to exist. And I agree. I think it's important for kids to take risk and to be able to test boundaries and to explore in an age appropriate way. And I think tons of mothers allow their children to do this. These generalizations aren't really helpful in this case, but it is also known that women tend to bear the burden of doing the research for kids. They are the default parent. They're going to the doctor's appointments. They are handling the schooling situation. And so they, by default, have more information because they are more involved. And so if you're an involved dad and you participate in these things, then that might not be the case for you. And I think there's tons of dads who are involved and make informed parenting decisions, right? But oftentimes when they're not the default parent, they have less information, right? They have less information. And so it's not that moms are dawdling and protective. It's that oftentimes they're more informed and they are held way more accountable than their male counterparts are in these situations.